I'll start with a few visual analysis aspects to consider. So questions, not on page 2. Are the new growth tips standing erect? You know what those new little buds look like at the top of the plant, the new leaves, right? If they're all feisty and turgid and just like looking good in the morning, right? That's body language. That's the body language. How does a dog look in the morning? Is it feisty and ready to go? I've got a 2-year-old. He is ready to go, right? I mean, if he's not ready to go, like something's wrong with him, right? So you can look at body language in children, you can look at body language in animals, you can look at body language in humans, you can certainly look at body language in plants. Just look at how they're holding their bodies, and you can see who's looking feisty and who needs some help. Who would like a little pick-me-up today? Do honeybees work the flowers vigorously, or any other kind of pollinators? Sometimes you'll see the honeybees fighting over the summer squash flowers, and sometimes you'll see them blowing right by and going for the clover instead. My understanding is that pollinators can see the quality of the pollen. They can sense the quality of the pollen, and when the quality of the pollen is diminishing, which is correlating with the plant's level of vigor decreasing, they're going to harvest that pollen last because it's got the lowest value for them. So you may not be able to see that squash plant is starting to hit the wall, but they can see if you watch them, if that makes sense. Are the plants growing rapidly, especially when it comes to annuals? You generally want to see somewhat continuous, regular growth. If things stop and don't move for a couple of weeks, that's generally a sign that something's wrong. Has anybody ever here put broccoli in the springtime or kale? I don't know, end of April, beginning of May. Come back a week later, they haven't moved to the same size. You're like, come on, guys! You get back a week later and they're starting to get ripped apart by flea beetles. Yeah. A week later, you're like, okay. They didn't come on, did they? Right? When you see them not growing, that's a sign something's wrong. Get in there and figure it out. Do something. Right? Use your skills of discernment. Experiment. Try giving something to these guys, something to those guys. See if that. Right? Be proactive instead of being reactive. Don't just say good luck and then walk on. Prioritize getting in there and trying to do something about it. Are stems solid or hollow? This comes mostly for grasses. Any of the grasses should have solid stems, not hollow stems. Also true for brassicas. You'll notice sometimes when you cut a broccoli head, it has a hollow stem. That's not what you're looking for. What weed families are dominant? You have mostly pigweeds and lampsquarters over here, mostly crabgrass over here. What are the environmental conditions that are the cause of that? How have I managed the soil historically that has caused that? I've seen that happen myself, where I tilled this area to plant my brassicas, and immediately over here tilled this area to plant, like 2 weeks later, to plant cucumbers and I think it was tomatoes. The area over here I tilled when it was dry. This was a number of years ago, and I did a pretty good till, deep till, and it was all pigweed and lampsquatter weeds. And right next to it, I tilled when the soil was wet, and it was all crabgrass. How you treat the soil has an effect on the structure of the soil, which causes nature to choose which plants to grow there to rebalance the soil. You can think about weeds as nature's attempt to ameliorate imbalances, and so whatever's growing there is most appropriate for bringing the level of life to a higher octave or higher spectrum. So anyway, you can consider that. How many flowers are setting per bunch? If you've started with tomato plants with 4 or 5 flowers at the bottom, cluster, and then a month later you've only got 2 or 3 flowers per cluster, and then by September you got maybe 1, maybe 2 flowers per cluster. You see that decreasing number of flowers correlating with the decreasing level of yield. That also means that the plant is missing something. Otherwise, when those number of flowers change, like the shape of the leaf changes, like the color of the leaf changes, all that stuff means something. There's a reason why that change is happening. And in many cases, it's because the plant is running out of something. So if you know what those things are, you can address them proactively. How thick are the stems? How thick are the calyxes? The calyx is a little stem that comes between this, the branch and the fruit, the little stem part. How thick are the leaves? What color are the leaves? Color of the sap? Spacing between the branches and the nodes. These are all different things you can monitor and pay attention to as you go through the growing season. I'm going to be addressing each of these specifically as it correlates to specific mineral deficiencies. So thinner calyxes means this, lighter colored sap means that. We'll get to that in the next after lunch. Okay. So just a couple more slides here, right for lunch. General parameters, top of page 3. Stem size, the bigger the stem, the thicker the stem, the better. Stem strength, stem should be able to bend without breaking. So think about a zucchini. Anybody's ever walked through a summer squash patch, zucchini patch, a month into picking, and you look at the leaves the wrong way and they go,